Hi friends, and welcome to another book review. I have been reading, and more reading. Like usually, if I kind of divvy up my free time, like I'll read a little bit of a book, do some dishes, read a little bit more of a book, do some laundry. Not at all. And I guess it's I love when I have found a good book. And I have been finding good book after good book after good book. And it has been refreshing. Usually for me, when I'm reading like this, I run into like consecutive books that I'm just like, eh. But it has been really great. So with this review, I want to go over Pleasure by Eric Jerome Dickey. I want to go over They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. And then audiobooks, I read Pretty Things by Janelle Brown, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I think that's it for audiobooks. But we're going to start with Pleasure by Mr. Eric Jerome Dickey. This book was a blind buy. I follow a couple bookstagrammers, and one of the girls that I follow, she had made a comment about how she was still recovering from this book. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe that's a good thing. I'm going to pick it up. So I go to the bookstore, I grab the book. I don't read the back of the book. I strictly go off of what she said and the cover. And the cover, I like the cover. I'm not complaining. I think it's cute. It's spicy. And I was like, okay, let's give it a try. And like I said, I didn't know what I was getting myself into until I read the first page. And I'm just like, oh, okay. So we're jumping right into it. We're not wasting no time. And that's okay. And after reading the first page, I was kind of excited about it, because then after that, I Googled it, and I'm like, ooh, an erotica. I've never read one of them before. Let's see what it's about. I was like, ooh, it's going to be nice and spicy. And then as I continued to read, I realized that the spicy level on this book was kicked up a few notches. This is a habanero pepper. This is really spicy. After reading a chapter of this book, I needed to drink a gallon of milk. A whole gallon of milk, because it was so spicy. When I say I like spicy books, I mean the spice level on that book, jalapeno pepper. Not too spicy, something I can handle. I wasn't prepared for that, for the level of spice that Eric was throwing at me. But with that being said, if you like erotic books, that would be a really great one for you to give a try. I'm not completely against reading another book of that type, but just the point I was in my life, that I am in my life, I want to read a book that is going to not necessarily give me a life lesson, but I want to take something from a book. And there ain't nothing I could take from that book other than a couple of sexual positions that I might try. It's like, no, I'm just kidding. But like, that's it. That's all you get from that book. Like, every page was about sex, about some type of sexual fantasy, about I didn't need that right now. I keep saying that sometime in the future I'm going to finish that book. I just don't see it happening anytime soon. So let's move on to the next book that I haven't quite finished yet.
Oh my God, I'm almost done. Oh no.
Insert the little TikTok song. Oh no. I don't want to finish it. I don't want to finish it. because they both die at the end. And it makes me so sad. I have completely fell in love with Rufus and Mateo. They're such good boys. I feel like a mom. But like Mateo, he's just so sweet and innocent. Oh, he's so sweet. And then Rufus, he's a little bit spicy, but he's also sweet. And I love that. Like, I love how different these two characters are, but how they help each other. So let me give you a little background. So this book is set in a time where you get a call, I think at 12 a.m. that day that you're going to die. They don't know how you're going to die or when you're going to die. They just know that today is your day to go. And so Mateo and Rufus both got that call, and they know that they're going to die today. And Mateo is the type of kid that kind of just lived his life strictly by the books. He didn't do anything too crazy. That was it. Mateo is very clean cut. And Rufus is kind of the complete opposite of that. He's a little edgy. He does a little bit more adventurous things. And, you know, they get on this app they call people who are going to die that day deckers. And so they get on this app for deckers it's called the Last Friend app. And they're looking for someone to kind of spend their last day with. And poor Mateo, he had a few interesting encounters with some people on this app. But then he stumbled upon Rufus, and it was a great matchup. Both of them have really sad backstories. And so it kind of just makes you love them even more. It kind of makes you just want their life and their last day to be really great so that they can get a little bit of happiness before they go. Even though I have read and watched so many book reviews on this book, I am still secretly hoping that this is some type of really big conspiracy, and Adam has reached out to everybody who has read this book and told them, like, listen, a little secret, they don't die at the end, but we want you to tell everyone that they do, just so that they're surprised. Yes, that's what I'm hoping. In my head, I'm like, there's no way that he makes us fall in love with these characters and kills them both at the end of this book. There's no way. I mean, like, what kind of messed up person do you have to be to do that to us? To let us know that they both die at the end, but then proceed to make these two really great characters that we love and then kill them. Adam, sir, you are fucked up. But as you can see, I really love Rufus and I really love Mateo, and I just want the best for them. And I'm really struggling with the fact that they both die at the end. So we'll see after I finish this how I'm feeling about Adam. I may have to look him up and fight him. We'll see. So moving on to my Audible reads, I want to start with Pretty Things because it was my first mystery thriller book, and I am now a fan. Give me all the mystery, give me all the thrillers, give me all the suspense. And I have always shied away from these type of books because I'm the type of person that I don't like Criminal Minds, I don't like Law and Order, I don't like scary movies. Keep all that away from me. So I figured it was the same with books. But, you know, books are always better than a movie. And so I gave it a try, and I was actually pleasantly surprised with how much I loved Pretty Things. Oh, it was such a great book. And so the main characters are Nina, Vanessa, and Lachlan. And then there's Benny and Nina's mom that are also kind of, you get a little bit of their story as well. It just got hot. So Nina is a con artist. Vanessa is this rich young woman who has an inheritance that is kind of like is what, of course, is what she uses to upkeep her lifestyle, her fancy lifestyle. But she's also an Instagram influencer, so that also helps keep up the lifestyle that she wants to live. And Vanessa surprisingly ended up being my favorite character. Like, at first it starts off with Nina's perspective, and so you get to know Vanessa from Nina, and it's kind of like, ooh, typical rich girl, I don't like her. But then you get Vanessa's perspective, and you get to know a little bit about her life, and you start to feel bad for her, but then you start to like really like her as a person. I'm just like, I'm confused. But no, I really ended up liking her. I liked how self-aware she was. Like, even though she was an Instagram influencer, and like looking at her Instagram and the things that she posts, you would assume that she's just a surface level person, that she has no depth to her, that, you know, all her life is pretty girl things, pretty girl money, pretty girl vacations, rich girl vacations. But, you know, you get to really know that she actually wants more to life. She just doesn't know how to get that. And so you fall in love with her. And Lachlan, ugh, let me just say, he got what he deserved, and I ain't mad at it. The ending was wild. It was wild. Like, I'm still shocked at the fact that happened. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, dang, did she go overboard with the ending? Or she might have gone a little overboard with the ending, but I'm still here for it. It was a great ending. And one thing that I liked about this book is that because Vanessa was an Instagram influencer, of course, Janelle went in a little bit about into social media as a whole, and how sometimes it can kind of rule our lives, and how we're so caught up with taking this cute picture of the sky or our meal or our drink that we forget to be in the moment. And after reading that book, like, before, I've always been really cautious of the time that I spend on social media and what I allow social media to see of my life. But, you know, now that my son is very active, I've kind of fell back into social media. And after reading that book, I have been a lot more cautious of how much time I'm spending on social media, and instead of taking this cute picture of my son, actually being in the moment with him. And I think that's another reason why I've just really enjoyed this book, is because I like being able to take something from what I'm reading. If it isn't a life lesson or a way to go about things in life. I don't know where I was going with that. I kind of lost my train of thought. But I just really liked being able to implement something from the book into my life and just be in the moment. I just love how beautifully written this book was, and the fact that she was able to talk about current topics, and how even though Vanessa was this rich girl, I was still able to see myself in her, see myself in Nina. You know what I mean? Like, I love how the characters were relatable. After reading Pretty Things, I read It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. And one of my best friends, Kendra, has been telling me about Colleen Hoover for a really, really long time. And honestly, she told me about Colleen Hoover at a point in my life where I'm like, I'm not reading anything other than romance novels. And I think Colleen does a little bit of everything. I think she does romance. I think she does a little bit of mystery and thriller. And I was just like, nah, Colleen can just be you. You can read her. But after reading Pretty Things, of course, I wanted to try more mystery, thriller books. And I picked up It Ends With Us. And it's not a mystery or a thriller. I think it's a romance novel. I can't remember the genre of the book. But I am giving that book a 10 out of 10. I still think about that book. Like the title itself. I'm not gonna excuse me, for me it was kind of like a aha moment, and so I'm not gonna like spoil it for anyone, but even the title is still like intertwined with the whole story of the book. But that book follows, I don't know why I can't remember the main character's name. Oh, Lily Blossom Bloom. I'm still kind of mad about her name. Like, come on, why'd you have to give her the stupidest name in the world? I hate it. Lily Blossom Bloom, and then it follows Atlas, and it follows Ryle, and I liked Lily, but Atlas was like my favorite. Like, I love Atlas from the beginning. He was just, I'm always rooting for the underdog, and Atlas was this homeless teen. And just the more we learned about Atlas's backstory, the more I loved him and the more I was rooting for him. And then he became a Marine. My brother's a Marine, so I'm like, Atlas was made for me. He was made for me to love him. But yes, so Atlas, he will always have a special place in my heart. And Lily, she was cool. I have nothing against Lily. She is a boss. She ended up opening her own business, and I'm here for that. Ryle, he was cool. I think I liked how spicy Ryle was off the bat, but I didn't really like Ryle. I still really don't like Ryle. Once I fall in love with one character, the rest of the characters are kind of just like, y'all can go now. So I fell in love with Atlas first, and it was just like, that was it. Team Atlas all the way. But yeah, that book was really great also. And Colleen wrote this book kind of based off her childhood and her mother. Her mother was in an abusive relationship with her father. And I just love how she was able to implement things from her own life into the book and still write this beautifully crafted story about overcoming things. Trigger warning, the book does cover abuse and rape and a few other topics that are a little cringy. But once you get through those and you really focus on the beauty of the book, it's all worth it. I don't know if I said it before, but that book deserves a 10 out of 10. And then I read Ugly Love. I'm reading Ugly Love. I have yet to finish it. And I feel so bad because I don't think I'm giving Ugly Love a fair chance because I'm just so in love with how It Ends With Us. I'm in love with it still even. I still think about that book. And so reading Ugly Love, it just, to me, it's not on the same level of It Ends With Us. Ugly Love just had so much depth. Oh my God. Okay, so I can't talk. It just had a lot of weight. We'll use that word instead. There's just a backstory to the characters. There was like some realness that you can relate to. And with Ugly Love, like, so my friend that I mentioned before, Kendra, she read the book before me, and she's like, oh my God, it's so much better than It Ends With Us. You're gonna love it. And I want to love it for her, but I'm just in love with It Ends With Us. Like, I love the storyline, and she told me that I do end up getting everything that I need from Ugly Love, but I just haven't gotten it yet, so I'm just kind of waiting for that. And I think that's what's really taken away from the book, is because I'm waiting for everything to kind of just lay itself out, and it's taking a while for me to get the backstory that I need from Miles. And Tate, she's kind of like how I feel about Lily. Like, there's no one in this book that I'm just in love with. Like, from the jump, I loved Atlas, and I was rooting for his story. And in this book, it's just, I really don't care how it ends. Like, usually when I read a book, I'm like, ooh, I hope this is the ending, or ooh, I hope this happens. And like with this, I'm just ready for it to end so I can know what ultimately happened with Miles and why he is the way that he is. So it's kind of like it's taken away from it because I'm waiting for something to happen. you know. But jumping all the way back to they both die at the end, I just thought about how we get perspectives, multiple perspectives in this book. We don't just get Rufus's perspective, we get Rufus and Mateo's perspective, we get other Deckers' perspectives, and other people in their lives' perspectives. And I love how, like, I feel like the world is a small place. Like, I feel like at some point you're gonna meet someone that's connected to someone else in your life. You know what I mean? Like, the world, it's just the way things happen. It's just always like, to me, it's just always one big connection. And in this book, it's kind of like my theory is solidified. Like, everyone that they encounter has some type of connection to their life. And I just really I like that. And I'm still reading this book, so I'm sure I'm gonna find more things that I love about it. But I just thought about that, and I felt like I had to go back and tell you guys that about that book. But yes, so we talked about Pleasure, and it's a 3.5 out of 5 rating. We talked about They Both Die at the End. I have yet to finish it, but as of right now, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. How it ends with Us is a solid 10 out of 10. Pretty Things, solid 10 out of 10. Ugly Love, I have no rating yet because I'm just not in love with it. So I'm going to wait until I finish it to give a true rating. But if you are interested in that rating, you can follow us on Instagram, FreshPages21, at FreshPages21. And you'll see my final review of They Both Die at the End and Ugly Love. But until then, I hope you guys enjoy your day. It is 4th of July weekend. Thank you for sitting and listening to me ramble about my love for books for another 23 minutes. But yes, have a great day, and remember to pick up a great book. Bye.